Back in January, I posted a video called the Six Flags Problem, and in that video, I talked about Salim Basul's plan to make the Six Flags parks higher quality so that they could charge higher prices. It was a decent plan to improve Six Flags as a whole, but he implemented things in the wrong order. Instead of making park improvements before charging higher prices, he did the opposite and charged higher prices for a product that was not improved. This dropped ticket sales and attendance while leading to increased in-park sales. However, the drop in attendance led to a major decrease in revenue, causing many people to believe that Six Flags was on their way to bankruptcy again. But with the recent additions to many Six Flags parks, it seems like they are starting to get their act together. They are adding rides to parks that haven't gotten anything new in almost 2 decades, and it seems like almost every day a new ride is getting teased and announced. Great Escape is widely considered to be one of the bottom 2 Six Flags parks, but they're getting a new family coaster, which will be a Gravity Group wooden coaster in the style of Kentucky Flyer Kentucky Kingdom and Wooden Warrior Quasi. This will be a great ride and feature legitimate airtime. St. Louis has gotten only one coaster in the last 15 years, and it was a Vekoma Boomerang. This year they opened a new family coaster, and they just announced a Giga Discovery from Zamperla for 2024. Great America is also getting a Giga Discovery for 2024, which, to their credit, will not be themed to a DC Comics character. Magic Mountain is teasing a Giga, which could have multiple meanings besides a 300-foot roller coaster, but it most likely means that they are getting something soon. If I had to guess, they will not be adding a Giga coaster, but I mean, you never know. Over Georgia is getting the first ever Intamin Ultra Splash. Fiesta Texas is getting a whole new DC themed land with 3 different flat rides. Over Texas is revamping their log flume. And finally, Great Adventure is getting a Vekoma Super Boomerang, which looks like a really solid investment into the park for the park's 50th anniversary. Now, I know that some people were convinced that Great Adventure was somehow going to be getting a Giga coaster, and I've heard plenty of complaining from enthusiasts about the Super Boomerang edition. I understand the concerns about capacity, and it would be ideal if the park has some variety of boosting the capacity via a turntable in the station or something of that variety. In terms of the actual ride experience, I see nothing to complain about. Sure, it isn't a Giga, but it's going to be a fun ride. It will be nothing like the old Vekoma Boomerangs. In Six Flags' Q2 earnings call, it was said that they were planning on spending $230 million this year on new rides and general park improvements. That is a lot of money to spend, especially when revenue still hasn't completely rebounded for the chain. It seems like Salim is going all in on his plan to improve the Six Flags brand and improve the quality of their parks. 7 major additions in 1 year is a lot, and adding new attractions to the bottom tier parks is something that we haven't seen since before Six Flags went bankrupt. I think this is also going to start to solve the issue of pricing. People will be willing to pay extra money for a product that is superior or at least improved over what it used to be. Six Flags will probably continue to see the extra money roll in from in-park purchases, but I think all of these additions and improvements will help boost attendance. It really seems like Six Flags is taking more of a classic Cedar Fair approach to new additions, focusing on a couple of parks getting major additions, instead of all parks getting some minor additions like a Larson Loop or a new trash can. They are definitely spreading the wealth around though. Great Escape and St. Louis are not parks that get investments like this all that often. It seems to be sort of a hybrid between the two strategies of every park getting an investment every year, no matter how small, and the opposite strategy of just concentrating major investments into a select group of maybe 4 parks. Now I want to go quickly into a little more detail about a couple of the additions for these parks. The Great Escape Gravity Group Family Coaster is the park's first coaster since 2005. Bobcat will stand at a height of 50 feet and reach a top speed of 40 miles per hour. The ride is maybe a little short, but also looks to have some good airtime moments. It is a family coaster, so forces aren't the main goal, but it definitely looks like it will have some solid airtime. The park could use a little more help than just a family coaster, but this is a great first step to take. It is definitely a much needed addition to one of the lowest tier Six Flags parks. Over Georgia's Intamin will be the first of its kind. It is an interesting addition because Over Texas got a mock power splash in 2022. But that ride didn't open until this summer after originally being scheduled to open in 2020. Maybe that has something to do with Over Georgia going the Intamin route instead of mock. This ride looks like a really good addition that fills a major gap in the park's lineup. Fiesta Texas is adding 3 good-looking flat rides with a drop tower theme to the Flash, a Zamperla Nebulas named Cyborg, Cyber Revolution, and a monorail ride that will ride above DC Universe. Of all the additions to this park, I think the monorail definitely intrigues me the most, just because it's something that we don't really ever see in theme parks nowadays outside of Disney. The two Zamperla Giga Discoveries going to Great America in St. Louis will be the biggest of the ride model, reaching a max height of 172 feet and a top speed of 70 miles per hour, which is just massive for a pendulum ride. Over Texas is revamping their log flume, which was the first ever in the world when it opened in 1963. I'm not exactly sure about all of the details, but it looks like a solid ride which will feature a steep drop. And the biggest addition to a Six Flags park in 2024 is the Vekoma Super Boomerang going to Great Adventure for the park's 50th anniversary. This looks like a really good ride. It has airtime, launches, inversions, and I think the backward section will also be really good. The only thing that might be an issue is the capacity. If there's no turntable, it can only run one train, which will definitely be an issue. The ride sits at the front of the park and is a major addition to one of the biggest Six Flags parks and one of the biggest parks in the Northeast and even in the whole country. But with a turntable like the Mach Power Splash at Over Texas, it could run two trains and the capacity would be alright. There's also nothing like it in the US, as the only other Super Boomerang in the world is in China, and almost nobody that will ride this one. There are a lot of enthusiasts that are complaining about this ride because it is a clone and the capacity is so bad, but I see this as a great addition to the park. It fills the biggest gap in their lineup as Great Adventure does not have a multi-launch coaster. And it was said in the Q2 earnings call that this was a last-minute addition to the park for their 50th anniversary, so we should be happy to get anything at all. I don't think it's time for anyone to say that it's over for Six Flags. They still did $20 million in profit last quarter, so they aren't exactly going under yet. Let's give them a chance because they are still giving us new attractions to enjoy. Oh yeah, and by the way, they have a crazy sale going on right now with season passes. If you buy a season pass off of Six Flags St. Louis website, for example, you can get access to every single Six Flags park for a year for $95. That's a pretty good deal. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I hope to see you all in the next one.